Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the council for the town of Petawawa to order for September 2nd, 2025. Welcome to members of council, staff, and our one special guest. We'll begin tonight's meeting with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and tonight it's Councilor Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omami Wenini Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Omami Wenini people and express our respect and support for the rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. And we wish to acknowledge and shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 94 calls to action. Calls to action number 66. We call upon the federal government to establish multiple year funding for community-based youth organizations to deliver reconciliation and establish a national network to share information and best practices. Recent progress. The Government of Canada launched a 3-year Indigenous youth-led pilot program in 2019 in partnership with Indigenous Youth Roots to support the government's commitment to advancing the goals of reconciliation, self-determination, co-development, and strengthening and rebuilding the Crown Indigenous relationships with Indigenous youth in efforts to support their leadership development.
Thank you, Councilor Ruth. And now I'd ask everyone in attendance here if they join me, stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Just before we get underway today, just a reminder to all of our residents in the town of Petawawa of the watering restrictions of your lawn. Effective September 2nd to the end of October, we have a water tower that's being drained and out of commission for that duration of time. And once it is repaired, the watering of your lawn can take place once again. But I do believe you can water flower beds, new trees, and other minor watering. Okay, I need an approval for tonight's agenda. Moved by Councilor Root, seconded by Councilor Donovan, that the agenda for the September 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? Next, I need an approval for the minutes from the council meeting of August 25th, 2025. I need a motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councilor Carmody, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held August 25th, 2025 be approved as printed and circulated. Questions, concerns? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. No presentations, so we'll go right into bylaws. First up, we have bylaw 1776/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers to the town of Petawawa. Need a motion for first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councilor Coutu, seconded by Councilor Carmody, that bylaw 1776/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1776/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the Town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time this second day of September 2025.
I need a motion for third and final reading, 1776/25. Moved by Councilor Donovan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1776/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions, concerns? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1776/25, being a bylaw to appoint municipal law enforcement officers for the Town of Petawawa, be read a third time and passed. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1776/25, the second day of September 2025.
Okay, we have no correspondence, so we'll go into our first staff report. We have PW-25-2025, concerns regarding Murphy Road urbanization and Black Bay Road rehabilitation from Wayne Bando, Petawawa resident. And these are the responses to Mr. Bando's delegation to council on August 11th, 2025. Welcome, Chris and Steve.
Thank you, Mayor Service and members of council. I'd like to welcome Stephen Webster here tonight, representing JP2G Consultants. Mr. Webster will be responding to some of the items in the report, specifically involving the design. And then at the end of the report, we'd both be happy to take any questions of council. So we'll start with a little bit of background. I realize you're all quite familiar with this, but there are people at home that are viewing that may not be. So if we have time to go through the report in a fairly detailed way. So in late summer of 2023, at the request of Town CEO Scott Randall, the Public Works Department, in cooperation with JP2G Consultants Inc. and the County of Renfrew, began the process of designing a road reconstruction project for Murphy Road from Petawawa Boulevard to Woodland Drive. This section of Murphy Road is 1.4 kilometers in length, and its pre-construction layout was a combination of rural and semi-urban cross-sections with drainage conveyed by open ditches and culverts. There was no curbing or storm sewer system present. The County of Renfrew, as part of their 2024 capital budget, initially planned on rehabilitating the entire 1.4 kilometer section of Murphy Road by undertaking a shade and pave program, which would have resulted in a new paved surface with no drainage improvements. Based on discussions with the town, it was agreed that the scope of the project would be expanded to look at a design that would include improvements to road surface, drainage improvements, increased pedestrian facilities, and the elimination of the majority of the ditches. The design process went through 3 stages, with modifications to the scope taking place at each stage in order to better align with budget deliberations that were occurring at the town and also at the county level. The initial Class C cost estimate of $6,718,085.19 was presented to both the towns and the county's Public Works Department in November of 2023. Based on feedback received, the design scope was modified, which resulted in an updated Class C cost estimate in the amount of $5,740,000 being presented to both the towns and the county's Public Works Department in December of 2023. The final design and construction cost estimate was provided to both the towns and the county's Public Works Departments on February 2nd, 2024, with an updated estimated construction cost of $4,920,000. Based on this final design, the County of Renfrew and the Town of Petawawa drafted a memorandum of understanding to jointly proceed with the reconstruction of Murphy Road based on a 50-50 cost share split. The town's 2024 budget was adopted on February 5th, 2024. A memorandum of understanding was adopted by Town Council on March 18th, 2024. The MOU noted that the town would lead the design, tendering, administration, supervision, and management of the project, with the associated costs being split between the 2 parties. Construction was awarded at council on May 21st, 2024. So as you know, on August 11th, Mr. Wayne Bando attended Town Council with a list of concerns and grievances surrounding construction work completed on Murphy Road west of Doran, and in particular the properties located at number 221 and 227 Murphy Road. The town's Public Works Department and JP2G Consultant Inc. have reviewed his comments and will respond to each item. So we'll go one comment at a time. So the first comment was a contract was awarded by the Town of Petawawa for the urbanization of Murphy Road in 2024. The awarded tender was approximately $500,000 below the project budget. The construction contract awarded by the town for the reconstruction of Murphy Road on May 21st, 2024 was in the amount of $4,413,772.01. However, this amount did not account for additional costs for design, tendering, contract administration, field review, and contingency. Within the report presented to council, JP2G staff provided a tender report that noted that the updated total project cost was estimated to be $5,240,000. This amount was higher than the MOU budget of $4,920,000, as the town had decided to include upgrades to the sanitary and water systems to the project scope. These items were not covered in the 50-50 split. They were solely covered by the town. The next item. The town installed a sign at each end of the project which read, "Your tax dollars at work, Portage Road Urbanization Project." So I believe Mr. Bando is referring to the signage posted on Murphy Road. There was a similar signage installed on Portage Road in 2024 since both projects were undertaken in the same fiscal year. Murphy Road, being a county road, was scheduled for a shave and pave project by the county in 2024. They had not planned on altering the road cross section and were only looking at completing pavement improvements. The town of Petawawa worked in conjunction with the county of Renfrew to secure additional funds to urbanize Murphy Road to better serve the residents of the town and better position the town for future growth. Murphy Road was completely urbanized between Petawawa Boulevard and Dorn Road, with a suburban cross section used between Dorn Road and Woodland Crescent. Next point.
Okay, so I'll take over for the next couple here. So Mr. Bando's next comment was, during the design of the project, the consultant, JP2G ourselves, were directed to reduce the estimated cost of the project. So our firm, we worked in conjunction with town and county staff to come up with a design to meet budget limitations while providing a fulsome product that met the needs of the town and county. There were elements of the projects that were altered through this design iterations to align with the allocated budget. Extending the storm sewer west of Dorn Road was eliminated in favor of the current design, which uses dry wells to capture storm drainage. The drainage improvements that were incorporated in this section of road were an upgrade over the existing systems prior to construction. His next comment was, the consultant recommended a change in road design for the last 5 residence and 1 commercial properties located west of Dorn Road. And again, our firm, JP2G, we worked with the town and county staff on several design iterations, as I just alluded to, which were reviewed by all parties. The final design completed by our firm was provided to both the town and county for the review prior to tendering. The town's CAO was kept informed through the design process and supported the final design as it aligned with the budget and the construction goals for Murphy Road.
Right, so the next point that Mr. Bando brought forward was the change in road design has led to hardship for a number of these properties due to reduced resale value estimated at $20,000 to $40,000 per site. Flooding, reduced ease of safe access to the properties, and additional operating costs being incurred by the commercial location. There's a $1,200 cost for each broken leaf spring that needs to be replaced on the school buses, of which there are 16 dispatched on a daily basis from the site. My first comment there is that I simply can't comment on alleged reduction in property values. I'm just not knowledgeable in that field to be able to claim if that's a proper number or not. The next point, subsequent to the completion of construction, town staff has received no reports of flooding from any properties apart from Skelhorn Bus Line's garage, 221 Murphy Road. The issue of broken springs was reported to me on March 10th and again on May 8th of this year. And I have requested Mr. Bando provide an invoice for the spring repair, but I have not been provided any to date. The Skelhorn property had drainage issues prior to construction, as it has always been lower than Murphy Road. There were no ditches across the frontage prior to the upgrades being completed on Murphy Road, so any drainage from the road would flow onto the property to a low point in front of the garage on the site. Town and JP2G staff maintain that the design and the construction work undertaken mitigated surface water from flowing onto the properties by using the newly installed sidewalk to allow surface water drainage from the road to drain to new dry wells within the road wells that were installed as part of the project. Mr. Bando's next point. The flooding and reduced access has been brought to the attention of the Director of Public Works starting in November of 2024. This should have prompted the Director to initiate corrective action with Council, which has not happened. So I can correct that. The Public Works Director received an email on October 7th, 2024, outlining several items that Mr. Bando wished to discuss. Included in the email was item number 2, and I have copied the correspondence. Skelton Bus Lines has a drainage issue. which does not appear to be resolved by the new construction. What do the contract drawings indicate? The question posed in the email from October 7th, 2024 indicates the Skelhorn properties had existing drainage issues that were known prior to construction, and the implied expectation was that the construction project would resolve the issues. Town staff, along with JP2G staff support, have corresponded with Mr. Bando, held several site visits and in-person meetings to discuss the alleged entrance issues and drainage concerns at the Skelhorn property. The Public Works Department, in conjunction with JP2G, have reviewed this issue in detail, and we collectively maintain that the Murphy Road upgrades did not exacerbate existing drainage issues pertaining to number 227 and 221 Murphy Road. On the contrary, we maintain that the construction design mitigated surface water drainage onto these properties as compared to the pre-construction condition.
Okay, his next comment was, it is my opinion, based on 47 years of municipal experience, that a design team would not have recommended a 0.5 meter increase in road elevation when the adjacent properties had structures close to the roads, were low-lying, and had known drainage issues. So we are not sure on where Mr. Bando is referring to with his statement. In the location immediately in front of 227 and 221 Murphy Road, our design called for the road elevation to be raised by 0.12 meters, not 0.5 meters, as he seems to imply. The grade raise was a result of placement of 2 lifts of asphalt, a 70 millimeter base lift and a 50 millimeter surface lift, which were the recommendations based on testing completed by Gemtech, who we hired as the geotechnical consultants on the project. Please note that Mr. Bando again mentions existing drainage issues prior to construction. It should also be noted that the roadway was higher than the entrances in Skelhorn prior to construction, and this is maintained post-construction. His next comment was the design of the stepped steep commercial entrance is unacceptable due to safety issues when existing and increased operating cost it poses. When the consultant has demonstrated that they can do a proper job based on the entrance design and construction on Portage Road in 2024 for BEI asphalt plant. So the Director of Public Works met with Mr. Bando on May 22nd, 2025 to review the entrance and the construction at 221 Murphy Road, and at the time explained that the entrance met Ontario Provincial Standard Specification, we'll call OPSS, and Transportation Associated just TAC guidelines. So those are really the guiding principles that we use when we do any road designs or anything like that. And then we are not really sure what the relationship is that he's referencing to the Portage Road project, as that project involved a complete reconstruction of or full urban cross section, and it's not the same scope of work that we were doing on the project on Murphy Road to the west of Doran Road.
All right, next point. The director would not have recommended a reduced level of service for 5 properties west of Doran Road when they have the same zoning and official plan designation as the 28 easterly properties in the project. So the director did not recommend a reduced level of service for the properties west of Doran Road. The roadway in this section has a new paved surface with a concrete sidewalk for pedestrians. Sanitary and water service connections were also provided to these properties. The reconstruction of Murphy Road benefits all town residents. And I mention here that there are several areas of town that are fully urbanized. So I'll use an example of Limestone Subdivision, where you have water, sewer, and storm. We also have many areas of town with ditches and culverts, basically everything from the west of Golf Course Road through the McGuire subdivision is ditched and culvert. So we have many non-urbanized subdivisions. We also have areas of town that are on full services, water and sewer. Some are on water alone, and we have some areas of town that do not offer water or sewer to ratepayers. So as part of the project, We did offer sewer connections to 6 homes and water connection to one home as part of that west of Doran Road section of the Murphy Road contract. Next point. The director would have caught the design flaw in an early stage and would have requested an alternate option. So this comment implies that the design was flawed. The Public Works Department does not agree with this statement. JP2G was informed of the issues brought forth by Mr. Bando and are confident in their design of Murphy Road. As mentioned previously, the town has not received complaints from any other property owners regarding property flooding.
The next point that he raised was the drainage in the area is further complicated by the fact that the consultant reviewing the engineering drawings on behalf of the town for the subdivision to the south did not allow for the surface drainage from the existing lots running onto Murphy Road. The town has been aware of this for over 10 years. So our response to that is, yes, we did do a review of those drainage designs for the adjacent subdivision on behalf of the town. I did it myself personally in 2012 and 2013. And, this is the first time that we have heard of, been made aware of any concerns that Mr. Bando has regarding this subdivision. So, I'm not really sure, can't really comment any more on that. His next comment was, during construction, the consultant instructed the contractor to install the sanitary sewer connection for property 227 in the wrong location. The new sanitary service will need to be constructed on the west side of residential property to intercept the tile bed at the rear. So from our perspective, we did have a representative meet with the property owner and on this matter, and it was communicated to, or we communicated back to the public works staff that the sewer stubs were extended to the property line at both 227 and 221 Murphy Road, and that the property owner, we basically met with the property owner, is able to hook up the service stubs at both locations. Now, the routing to connect to the existing septic tank where you would intercept the line coming from the house has been reviewed with the property owner on site. So again, we have met with them and confirmed that the connection can be made to these stubs.
Right, next point. The solution to correct the drainage and property access will be expensive, in the same order of magnitude that the owner spent to correct the wrong design of the Works Department sand dome in the airport flight path. So the Public Works Department will not comment on past projects that have been approved by council. The purpose of this report is to comment on Murphy Road construction and specifically pertaining to number 227 and 221 Murphy Road, as brought forth by Mr. Bando. The next point raised by Mr. Bando. Even though it would have been at a late stage, these issues could have been headed off if a public information center had been held prior to tendering. Response, a public information session was not held prior to construction. However, all affected residents received notification of the project and were provided contact information for Public Works and for JP2G Engineering Services. Residents were encouraged to reach out to ask questions if they had concerns regarding the upcoming construction project. Next point from Mr. Bando. The Works Department have created roadblocks for a 50-year town business operated by the current family on this site since 1984 during the reconstruction of Murphy Road, and have failed to respond in a timely manner when brought to their attention. So the Public Works Department has consistently responded to numerous emails and calls from Mr. Bando and have arranged several site visits, which included representatives from JP2G, and I can clarify there were 4 in-person meetings held at Public Works, not 3. The department has consistently stated that we are willing to work with the property owners at Skelhorn Bus Lines. But we have been consistent in stating that the design did not add to an existing drainage issue, but rather provided some mitigation to an existing property drainage issue. The department is willing to investigate any common sense solutions proposed by Mr. Bando or the property owners that may further mitigate existing drainage issues on the subject properties. However, the department has been clear with Mr. Bando in stating that the road will not be reconstructed and that the project is complete and is in the warranty period. The next point, and I'll very brief on this one, was some concerns about the Black Bay Road rehabilitation. I believe in this case, Mr. Vando was a little bit confused by the scope of the work. The initial bylaw for the maintenance agreement that was arranged between the town and BEI Construction called for the road lanes to go from 3.25 to a 3.5 meter lane with granular shoulders. The project now is complete, and we've expanded that to 4.25 meter lanes for a total platform width of 8.5 meters. So I believe that issue has been taken care of. So, and as far as conclusion, and I feel this is important because it's been insinuated that we have been, as a department, hard to correspond with, or not keen to respond. I totally disagree with that. In fact, I have in my files over 35 email correspondence with Mr. Vando since fall of 2024 regarding the reconstruction of Murphy Road, and specifically on the topics of site drainage and entrance concerns. I met with Mr. Vando on 4 occasions in person, and JP2G representatives have met with Mr. Vando on site also to discuss the issues that were reported in the report regarding the sanitary sewer connections. Throughout the entire process, the Public Works Department has maintained that the properties at 227 and 221 Murphy Road had existing property drainage issues, and that the reconstruction of Murphy Road has mitigated road drainage impacting the property through a comprehensive design review process prior to construction. The entrance to these properties is built within regulatory guidelines, and the sidewalk was designed and installed to control surface water from the road and direct the water to dry wells. The Public Works Department remains committed to serving town residents and business owners alike, and we strive to work in collaboration during road reconstruction projects to improve our road and pedestrian infrastructure. That's our report, and willing to take any questions this time.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris and Steve. And thank you as well for all your research and work that went into this response and in terms of addressing the comments and concerns of this particular resident. And thank you as well for your willingness to respond both by email, phone, and in person to work to find a solution. Okay, I'll open it up for questions. Councilor Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Webster, for coming here this evening, and Chris, thank you for the full report. And thank you for following up with our resident. It's always very important that we do our best to satisfy the concerns. I think you've done a very good job on this matter. Has there been to date any other concerns from any other resident in regards to this matter?
No, there have been no other resident concerns regarding property drainage.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Sammer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess first of all, just by way of informing myself, I went for both a drive and a walk down that section of the road so that I could see firsthand. There's a lot of houses on that same section that have extremely flat, like they're absolutely flat. So I would suspect that whenever there's a lot of water, a flat surface doesn't drain quickly. And I'm sure that many of those houses have historic times when water just ponds a bit, and that's just the reality of how their driveways are constructed. The 2 things that I did notice, one was, and I'd never paid close attention to this before, so it was a really good exercise for me. The sidewalks are actually a bit slanted, which I had never picked up on before. So if water is coming down, they're slanted enough so that the water goes back towards the road and then can sluice away down those technical thingies. Those thingies that move the water down to our drainage points. So that's the first thing. The second thing I noticed was that on a number of the driveways on the side of the property owner where the sidewalk meets, there actually has been concrete, not concrete, asphalt. I'm not going to call it a hump, but it's like a little bit of a raise in the asphalt. And I think that further would assist in draining water away from the property, so towards the road and whatnot. Am I mistaken on that, or is that something that has in fact been done?
Yeah, no, I can respond to that. So first of all, with regards to your comment on sidewalk, I mean, I think it's twofold. I mean, first of all, you say how everything out there is so flat, which is very true. And I think that's why you probably also notice that there is, that the sidewalk does have a little bit of slope in it, because sidewalks always have a slope in it. We always do have what we call 2% drainage. So, yeah, so the design solution here was that basically we would have the sidewalk, again, as you mentioned, sloping back towards Murphy Road, so that as the drainage comes off Murphy Road, it would basically hit that sidewalk, and then there is a little bit of a fall in the
Towards Dorn.
towards Dorn, yes. So I always get my directions mixed up there. Basically towards Dorn, and there is a dry well in there. Yeah, so it's basically, that was the whole idea, was to try and get the water to come off Murphy Road, hit the sidewalk, and drain. There is no question that, with the sidewalk, there is crossfall in there. I think it ends up being about 2 inches. So the back is about 2 inches or 50 millimeters higher than the front. So, I mean, if there is an awful lot of water coming off Murphy Road in a very heavy rainfall event, it's not going to be able to capture all of it. Some of it potentially will. But again, if we go back to the prior, to our construction here, basically any drainage that was coming off Murphy Road was going onto that property. So at least we're capturing some of it. And to your second point, yeah, generally what we're doing is when we put the sidewalk in, like a lot of the, if the property has gravel in behind, we do put a little bit of asphalt in there up to the property line, because generally the sidewalk is within the municipal road allowance. So generally we'll put pavement to the property line, and that's twofold. I mean, one is that did indicate it does provide a little bit of a hump there, so it does help with some of the drainage. But more importantly, what we're trying to do is, we're trying to, if you have gravel right up against the sidewalk, and especially if you have a commercial entrance like that, as the vehicles drive over, they're going to pull that gravel onto the sidewalk. So we're trying to kind of use that little bit of a strip as almost like a cleaning area, if you want to call it. So to try and limit the amount of the gravel we get on the sidewalk.
Well, thank you. And it was certainly a good exercise for me, because I don't know what more could have been done. So thank you.
Councillor Kern.
Thank you, Mayor Service. And certainly hope this comes out the way I prepared it in my head a few minutes ago. I think the Public Works Department did an admirable job on that project, and it's 100%, and I am 100% in favor of public oversight of municipal affairs. It's the public's right to be involved in how their money is being spent. But in this particular case, the level of engagement absorbed an inordinate amount of staff time and resource, to the extent that it could have had a detrimental effect on the project itself. As you stated, 35 emails, multiple meetings, and it was a lot to represent the interests of one property owner. And that's unfortunate that that had to unfold that way, but I commend you for doing such a great job in dealing with this particular person who was not easy to deal with. And as I said originally, I think the Public Works Department did an admirable job with the project.
Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thank you very much for the report. It was very detailed, very thorough. It answered all the questions that I had as I was reading it. And to build on what Teresa had mentioned, I took sort of a more passive way of looking at that property, and I pulled it up on Google Earth, and it's possible to go back in the layers of time. So I took my time and I looked back through the layers of time, and I could see for myself with my own two eyes the improvements that have been made post reconstruction of Murphy. So putting that together with your report, and definitely with James's comments, I feel very satisfied that this resident's concerns have been more than adequately dealt with. And I thank you sincerely for your patience, your professionalism, and your dedication to this town. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Gunn.
First off, yes, I'd like to thank you. It was a very fulsome report. It was easy to read through, and you addressed each point individually, which was very helpful. I as well took a walk up through that area, drove to the area, and then walked on the sidewalk and then drove away. Lie. And was able to see the point that had stuck with me was with regards to the depth of the pavement that was put in, the difference between the 0.12 meters versus the 0.5 meters. And that there was no half-meter jump up in pavement coming out of that municipal area. So that was good to see. So thank you for the preparation of this, both of you. It's, I think it addresses every point that was brought forward in a very professional and concise manner. So thank you for that.
Okay, anything further? Okay, so I'd just like to expand on what Councillor Carmody said. We are a municipality and the taxpayers' money is what we are spending. So it is important that they are able to provide us with feedback. But I think our Public Works Department and our AP2G have gone above and beyond in this case. And I think in any cases where we have concerns or comments or instances where the public has, wants feedback from us, I think our Public Works Department goes above and beyond in all cases to make sure that the residents have some kind of satisfaction and that there's a resolution to any of the complaints or concerns that they have. So I think we're doing a fantastic job here in Petawawa in ensuring that all of our residents are satisfied with any projects we do in our town. So thanks again to both of you for all the work you did today and for coming here and spending your valuable time with us this evening.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, we'll carry on. Thanks again.
Okay.
We'll go to councillor reports. Deputy Mayor Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended an equity, diversity, and inclusion meeting on the 27th of August. And I'll go back a couple of days prior to that, both on the 25th of August and again earlier this afternoon, I attended a planning meeting for the Emergency and Protective Services Unite event, and which again is going to be held on the 13th of September at Stafford Park in Laurentian Valley. And the public is very much encouraged to come out and attend and watch the competition between all of our emergency services people for a fun team building day that'll have something for everyone, including kids. I also participated in a number of coordination meetings and contact meetings in preparation for our Seniors Day event on the 1st of October. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Kern.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I can report that last Thursday I attended the grand opening of the Deep River Hospital's primary care center. And Deep River was a bit of a rainy day, but a nice event nonetheless, and a beautiful facility, and I'm sure it'll serve the residents of Deep River and Petawawa quite well.
Thank you, and thank you for attending that opening ceremony on my behalf. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. On August 27th, I chaired a meeting of the Town of Petawawa EDI Advisory Committee. And this week, behind the scenes, I've been working with town staff and with our partners at Algonquin with the Guapingon First Nation to plan a Truth and Reconciliation event for the Town of Petawawa. So mark it on your calendars, you know what it is. September 30th this year, we'll be having it on the day. So in the afternoon, more details to come.
Thank you. Councillor Donovan.
No report at this time, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councillor Roots.
Nothing to report.
Okay, it has been only a week since our last meeting.
Yeah.
On my part, all that was important last week is I attended the County Council on Wednesday the 27th, and I'll have a more fulsome report of everything that happened next council meeting. Okay, there's nothing for closed. I need a motion for the confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, second by Councillor Carmody, that bylaw 1777/25 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1777-25, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on September 2nd, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. This constitutes first, second, and third reading short of bylaw 1777-25, this second day of September 2025. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the meeting adjourn to the call of the mayor. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
That's carried.